Hi folks, it's 11:36 on the 28th of the 5th, 2020. I hope you're doing well today. I hope the weather's good to you. I hope you keep safe. Right, okay. I'm going to speak again about authorities because we've recently had that situation with the killing of George Floyd, with the police brutality, etc., etc. This will just be a quick video. I think I don't see the point in having a long video with this one. But yeah, this brings up the same old issues that's always been brought up. I mean, a lot of people saying it's race because Mr. Floyd was brown, so therefore it's obviously racial because he was brown. No, it's not. Not in any way, shape, or form. Just try to explain to one individual that the problem is, I mean, this individual was saying that on Twitter that if the police were actually held accountable and went to prison for killing innocent people, then maybe they'd think twice about it. The thing about that is, the police are the law, at least to them. They are the law. You hear it quite often in videos where, out of all the cops are being videoed doing something out of order, the cop will say, "Oh, but I am the law." There's problem number one. You can't send the law to prison. Right? So, I am the law is part of them saying, I am above you. I'm worth more than you are. And it's wrong. It's disgusting, it's wrong, and it's why they can then do the things that they're doing. They can do this crap because of the fact that they're worth so much more. That's why I pointed out in the past of situations like when a police officer dies, is killed, then you have police from different regions coming out to try and find the individual who killed that police officer. Yeah, if you or me are killed, you might have one or two officers maximum trying to help. Why? Why that disparity? Why on earth does that police officer get two districts coming out of police officers to solve this nasty, heinous crime where somebody had the disgusting nerve to kill a police officer? Well, excuse me, what about killing anyone else? What about killing a bus driver? Is that a disgusting thing to do? Not as bad, is it, really? Not according to the cops. That's not as bad. So you have a situation in America, especially America, because it's where these sort of things happen more often. Although police brutality happens, or police breaking the rules, or thinking they're above happens all over the place. But yeah, in America, you've had the situation where police have shot and killed innocent people that were doing nothing, that were just going about their day. And the defense for the police officer was that they were scared. For some reason they can't explain, they never can explain it, why they were scared. But they were scared for their safety. So they just shot and killed this person. Now, do we have the same rights? Or do the people in America, I'm not in America, I don't own a gun, I'm not in a country where you can own a gun, but for the people that are, do they have the same rights? If they are scared because somebody's walking towards them, can they just open fire on that person and kill them? If not, how the blinking Nora can a police officer do the same and use that as an excuse? The fact that they are a police officer doesn't give them more of a right. They should be more able to actually deal with a frightening situation without loss of life because they are trained. Other people aren't even trained. not to deal with life-threatening situations. Not unless you've been in the services, but if you've been in the services, you're trained more to kill than you are trained to bring peace to the situation. But certainly, the police officers are supposed to be trained to calm situations down. So this, I'm afraid, so I killed this innocent person. Ugh. Again, it's about, I'm above that. This person that I killed is worth far less than I am. I looked at this person, I deemed that because I'm worth so more than them, I had a reason to fear my life with them walking towards me. So I took theirs. But it doesn't matter because they're worth so much less than I am. You've got to look at police officers being human. They're only human. They're not the law. They don't even serve the law. And mostly they don't. Most police officers are bad police officers, to say the least. They are really, really poor at doing their job. They don't understand their job, so therefore they're not really serving the law if they don't understand it. So they're not serving the law. They're not serving people. They're serving the government, really, or local government, depends on how big the area is. But that's what they're doing. They are human. Because they are human, it means that they have the same crap in their head that the rest of us have. Yeah, they make bad decisions. They do things that are wrong. They can't necessarily be trusted because they have their own agenda. They might want promotion. Because they want promotion, they know that they've got to get a certain amount of arrests on their belt, and they've got to do things, in order to get that promotion. So therefore, can you trust them when you come across them? They come across as nice, but why? Why are they being nice? They come across as if they're doing you a favour. Why are they going to try and do me a favour? Of course they're not doing me a favour. That's not in their best interest to do so. Now, of course, you would have one or two that you could come across who would be doing you a favour, sort of thing. Sorry, I just yawned there. Folks, they are the same as ambulance drivers and firefighters. They are human. They're doing a job. It's a job they are trained to do. But they are not of any more worth than anybody else. When a police officer is shot and killed in the line of duty, that's terrible, but that is their flipping job. They're supposed to put themselves between the criminals and the rest of us. That is their job. They should be paid well for that job. And they are treated beautifully because of that job. Even their families are looked after afterwards. They get this honor guard, from their funeral, which doesn't help them at all because they're dead. But it's a lovely thing for their families, and they're being honoured by the city. So, they do get treated a lot more blinking special. You don't then need to say they're worth more than anyone else, and that if they're killed in a situation where you don't know who the killer is, then you should bring all the police from the local counties or districts in order to find this person. But if the bus driver gets killed, who cares? It's just a bus driver. But that bus driver's family, that bus driver's colleagues, and anyone else who is a witness to what happened cares that person was killed. But you try and get the police to value him as much as they do each other. Do you realize what they need to do is get rid of the gym going, muscle building morons? that you have in the police force, and that's, as I say, all over. In the UK, it's exactly the same. You have these beefed up morons who really have no understanding, and they shouldn't be coppers because they don't have. Well, if you're going to be doing that job, you need to have a certain degree of compassion. You need to have a certain degree of empathy. You need to really be not the image of a police officer in the 60s. Some person who was caring for the community, wanted to make sure that he kept people safe. That's the people that they should have, not these people that want promotions and want to basically do nothing and get all the reward for it. I was saying the other day, you got the situation where in big cases they're interviewing someone. That person's name is then given to the press by the police. Now that person's life is basically ruined now, because even if they're not tried and found guilty, there's an associate guilt that's labelled to them, because what people then assume is that there was something in that person's life that made the police believe that they were capable of that heinous crime. And the police don't give a damn about it. The reason why they release a person's name is because they want the public to do their work for them. They don't want to actually go out and investigate and go out and do the work they're supposed to be doing. They don't want to go and walk the streets and ask people. They want to just release a person's name and have the people coming to them. It's laziness. It's disgusting laziness where, they just ruin that person's life. It's a person of interest, maybe a strong interest, because the police have gone down the wrong avenue sometimes. And if they go down the wrong avenue, they're interviewing the wrong person completely. But they've released that person's name to the press. That person now is going to lose their job. It's going to lose whatever else they've got. If they lose their job, they're probably going to lose their home. They're probably going to lose their family, because obviously wife and children's lives are going to be made hell by the fact that they are being questioned by the police for something similar to a murder. But of course, they're going to want to run away from that as quickly as possible, because that is horrendous for them. And it's terrible for the man who's being interviewed by the police and questioned by the police, because potentially he knows he could be found guilty of something he didn't do, because neither the police nor the prosecution seem to have any interest in whether that person is really guilty. They've got someone, that'll do. Let's push forward with this and let's try a few little tricks to try and get the jury to find the person guilty. Because even that juries nowadays have forgotten the fact you're innocent until proven guilty. The prosecution have to prove guilt. They don't have to put a few ideas in your head that the person might be guilty, and that's enough. They've got to absolutely prove guilt. The problem is that now the way that people are dealt with is that you're considered as guilty until you're proven innocent. So, of course, a jury is assuming you're guilty, and it's up to the defence to prove you're innocent. Which is not what the whole system is supposed to be about. But when you lock people up while on remand, while waiting trial, you are saying that person is dangerous, that person is guilty. So we have to lock them up. We can't have them in society because that person is a murderer. Yeah, and it's like, excuse me, innocent till proven guilty. That's supposed to be the law. As I say, it's obviously not the law, which is why an awful lot of innocent people are being found guilty, because if their defence lawyer is incapable of proving innocence, which is quite often the case. I mean, in TV programs, you see defence lawyers hiring detectives. I think in real life that probably doesn't happen, because where are they going to get the money to do that? unless you've got an incredibly wealthy client. That's just not going to happen, is it, really? So the law is screwed right now. From the police officers to even the courts and all of that lot. It's absolutely screwed. I mean, to fix it, they're going to have to basically lock it all down and start again. And say, phase out all these be-fed, moronic police officers. Not just be-fed, just the beefy ones that go to the gym and want to be the biggest muscles and to intimidate people in that way. But the ones that are overweight, they can't run, so therefore, if they come across someone, the person starts to run, they just shoot them in the back. Because, you're trying to make me run. Right, bang, bang, bang. There you go, dead. Get people who have some morals and values and empathy and compassion so that they don't want to shoot somebody. If they shoot someone, it's as a completely last resort. Because if they shoot someone, they're going to have that person in their mind for the rest of their life, that they took that life. Whereas with these morons that they've had recently that have taken life, you've got to say with those, are they going to have that on their mind? Really? Most of these people? The fact they killed the person? Yeah, the officer that knelt on George Floyd's neck. Is he going to have it on his mind that he killed this man? Or is it going to be just on his mind that, the reaction is rather harsh to me arresting this man. All I did was arrest him. Now I'm being charged with murder. That's probably how this officer thinks. That's disgraceful. Other officers are probably telling him, okay, yeah, you were a bit over. Yeah, you shouldn't really have knelt on this person's neck for that time, but you weren't trying to kill him, so you shouldn't be done for murder, should you really? Hey ho. Right, that'll do for this one, folks. I wanted to speak on it a bit, but mainly because there were people saying it's race. It's not race at all. There's one person, Anne-Marie Singer, was saying it's white privilege. It's like, excuse me, shut up with this white privilege crap. There's no such thing as white privilege. Never has been. There never has been any such thing as white privilege. Because while the brown people were being pushed down, the poor white people were being pushed down as well. Even during the time of slavery, it wasn't white people that owned slaves. It was the rich and powerful white people that owned slaves. Even rich and powerful black people that made from that and would have had slaves. It's not white privilege. It never has been white privilege. Most white people through history have never been privileged in any way, shape or form. The problem is it's all down to understanding of life. Like, for example, if you are brown of skin, and if you were brown of skin during the 30s, your expectation of how good your life could be would have been far lower than the expectation of a normal, average, pink-skinned person. Now, that pink-skinned person, their understanding of where their life could be when they were born, or as they were grown up, was that their life would be much more successful than any brown-skinned person. This is not white privilege, not in any way, shape or form. But then, if their life is nearly equal to the average brown-skinned man, their life is terrible to them in their understanding, right? Equally as bad as the lowest brown-skinned person at that time. It's not about skin colour. Skin colour may give you an expectation of how good your life should be, but it doesn't give any reality on how good your life's going to be. That's down to money. That's down to power. That's down to really your family name. And most people don't have that. So even those people that have won the lottery, the truly rich and powerful people look at those people and see them as scum. They're still scum. They just made their money through gambling, which means nothing at all. Now, if you invest that money and you won, say, $30 million and you invest it, and after 10 years you have $30 billion because you've invested wisely, then you might get some respect from the rich and powerful. But generally speaking, you probably won't. But it's like, do the rich and powerful respect Donald Trump? No. Not in any way, shape, or form. They don't look at him and think he's one of us. He's one of these people who his daddy gave £10 million to, who has screwed people over, and, well, like the rich, I suppose, so they would respect that. So, yeah. In the end, folks, see it from what it is. This situation that happened to George Floyd was horrendous. It was nasty. It was sick. It was twisted. It was police brutality. But it's police brutality because of the fact that, as I say, the police believe that they are worth far more than any of the rest of us. Any of the rest of us. And generally speaking, folks, bet your bottom dollar, absolutely and totally, that white people are treated just as badly as George Floyd was by these police officers. However, people aren't videoing it because the person who's being treated badly isn't brown-skinned. So if people videoing things like this means that people care about that and want to highlight what's going on, then wouldn't that be black privilege that we're seeing? Of course not. There's no such thing as black privilege, no more than there is white privilege. But it is a case where, yeah, these things are happening as much to white people or pink people as they are to brown people. It's just there is an interest in the media for what's happening to brown people. A white or pink officer doing it to a brown person, yeah. That's a version of subjugating a slave, really, the way that police officer was behaving. It needed on that person's neck, talking at them the way he was, saying something in the area of, well, if you just got out the car quicker, what, you wouldn't be trying to cut off my airway by kneeling it on my neck? Ugh, jeez. But I say, it's systemic on the attitude of law and the way that law is seen. The fact that police officers are seen as the law, and you can't imprison the law. So that needs all to change. The more of these things that we see, the more that's going to change, certainly. But for the sake of humanity, we need to see less of that thing, really. I don't mean the case that we need people to not video it. We need these things not to be happening because it's bad news that's happening. So maybe the police can sort themselves out. I hear you laughing. Yes, I know. I was tempted to laugh at that myself. But they've had years to try and sort themselves out and they haven't. They won't. They're quite happy with the way it is, and they've got a president in America who's pleased with them. The president is probably delighted that officer kneeled on that man's head. I imagine he's overjoyed that happened. I mean, he's actually told police officers to use brutality against people who've committed crimes. So they were just doing really what he had told them to do. So, yeah. So at the moment, are they likely to sort themselves out when they've got a president who's sort of backing them? Certainly the more thug like police officers being backed by the president. So I'm not going to try and deal with that element, are they, really? You take care, God bless, and I'll speak to you soon. And be guided by the Holy Spirit, so be wise and be led away from situations where you can come across nasty police officers. Take care, God bless, bye bye.